Hi everyone, welcome. As we continue our series on tips for helping struggling readers, today we will look at utilizing word walls and labels. I know that in a previous lesson we would have looked at word walls and labels as a part of a print-rich classroom. Now I'm giving you tips about how to use these word walls even at home or in the class to help a struggling reader. For this lesson, I'm going to point out some things that we have to consider when using word walls and labels in order to help a struggling reader. Point number 1. Yes, it's easy to purchase a word wall from someone or a chart that has words laid out in the word wall structure. However, we must ensure that the words that are on the word wall are to the person's grade level. There's no use giving them words at the grade 6 level if this struggling reader is at the grade 2 level. Also, yes, it's easy to just purchase it, but it is better to make your own word wall, and I'm going to explain why. So that's point number 2. It's best to create your own word wall. In creating your word wall, you are able to add the words that you want the reader to focus on. So bit by bit, you'll add those words that you're probably studying with the reader. So for example, if we're on the theme of home and family, then we would ensure that the words on the word wall are targeting those words that the person needs to be able to recognize by sight. And when we say on sight, to develop sight vocabulary, it's a way of enforcing those words in such a way that the person will be able to readily identify the word in less than 5 seconds. More than 5 seconds, it's suggesting that the person has not mastered that word. If you purchase a word wall and the words are already on it, you will be having that struggling reader. Remember, the person is already struggling. You'll be giving them too many words at once to read. However, if you create your own word wall and you're building it bit by bit by adding those blocks or tiles with the words bit by bit, the reader will come to understand which word is being added. So for example, if you're focusing on the word all and you decide, okay, let's stick with word family, and we're deciding that since we're looking at ALL, let's also add BALL, ball, CALL, call. Let's also add FALL, fall. But what if we're looking still at things in the home? And we would have looked at falling and calling and the word ball, and we decide we want to add mother. Then maybe we add father. Maybe we add sister. And bit by bit, the person will come to understand which words are being added because you were building the wall with them as they go along. The next thing to note will be they will not understand all the words all at once. Even when you have completed that theme or completed that lesson or completed that topic, it's good that the word wall remains intact so that they can review these words on their own. Of course, time and time again, you make reference to the words, get them to point out the specific words to test if they're understanding the words even after you have moved on from the topic. So try to ensure that the word wall is in a place where it is semi-permanent or permanent. So that's point number 3. Ensure that your word wall is placed in an area where it can be there for a somewhat permanent basis and less temporary. And when I say less temporary, I don't mean fix it onto the wall, but ensure that where it's located, you won't have to move it too many times away from where the reader will be able to interface with it. Point number 4, ensure that the words are clearly printed. If you know you're not the best at writing, don't write the words, type the words, and ensure that whatever font you're using, it sticks to the conventions of the particular language in terms of how letters are formed. Sometimes the cues don't look quite like cues, but remember, you're encouraging a struggling reader here. So ensure that the font style that you're using, it actually sticks to how the letter A should look, the letter Q should look, how the 7 should look. All those things matter. The next point on word wall on labels: try not to flood the entire environment with labels and word walls. So if you're labeling things based on a particular theme, as soon as the person have mastered that word, or as soon as you have completed looking at that theme, change out the words. If they have not mastered the words and you want to move on from that topic or that theme, shift those words that are still unknown to the word wall. So remove it from the table if the table was tabled, and stick that to your word wall. And now for the sixth point: in using labels, ensure that the labels actually match the object or the picture of the thing that it represents. So if you're labeling the hand, ensure that the label hand actually rests on the hand and not next to the finger, because it makes a big difference. The person will see HAND and think it's talking about finger, versus in the palm of the hand they just know that it's the hand. Point number 7 on utilizing the word wall. So we talked about the visibility of it. We talked about even with the placement of the labels in the environment. Now, as soon as the person have mastered the words, change them out and bring them to another level. If the same words are there for every 3 months or every year, then after a while the person will get bored of seeing the words, even if they did not master it. Now, this is an added tip about this point as it relates to word wall. Change out the words on the word wall. So if they have mastered the word that, take out the word that from the word wall. And where the block was that said that, replace it with a new word, and make sure that the person is aware of the word that is being inserted. Point number 8: when we're building a wall, we just don't place the blocks randomly. So too it should be with a word wall. They should be stacked neatly as if we're building a wall. It helps for uniformity and it makes for better focus. In utilizing word walls and labels, try to ensure that each tile or each strip of paper, the background is more of a pastel color. Try not to use neon colors. For struggling readers, the bright colors, the bright lights might cause the eyes to go blurry when reading the words. And remember, you're helping a struggling reader. So readability is key. So that's the 9th point, and I'll close off with point number 10 on this tip. When you have removed a tile from your word wall or a label from an object because the reader, the learner, has now mastered that word, don't just toss it away. We have to let the reader realize that words are valuable, words carry weight, and that they must be mindful of their words. So don't just strip it up and say, okay, over and done with. Stack it neatly in a folder. I prefer that at least if it's stacked neatly in a folder, and from time to time pull out these words to test if the person still recognizes the words. And you can put an incentive on it. If you are able to call the following 10 words correctly, then I have a treat for you. May incentivize it if you have to. Now, as I'm saying, it's pointless just tossing these words away because words carry weight. Plus, as stated before, you want the person to acknowledge their progress. So they will see that there was a time when this word was on a particular word wall, or it had labeled something, but now I've mastered it. So it's as if they're having a treasury of all that they're learning. As a side note, I know a lot of teachers do this and I totally dislike it. We do not use word walls and labels to encourage spelling tests. It's nothing about spelling. Let me repeat, the main objective of using word walls and labels is for developing sight vocabulary. The intent should never be about swatting words for a spelling test. It has nothing to do with spelling. It would be good if you can challenge your reader to learn how to spell the words, but the focus should be on developing sight vocabulary. So I should see it and know the word. I hope these pointers really help someone. So in summary, just create your own word walls and create your own labels. Give a few words at a time, and once the person have mastered them, add new words to the wall or start labeling other things in the environment. I hope this video has been informative. See you soon.